Alright, so the Oblivion upgrade has been announced, and what I find really funny is I'm not actually here to talk about the game itself. I'm actually here to talk about how people are calling it remake. The Elder Scrolls, as you can see right here, all these videos are calling it a remake, and it was funny is that even this video has the Oblivion. Hold on, that keeps trying to play, but it says Oblivion Remaster right there on the thumbnail. However, the title is still Oblivion Remake Leaks. This one is actually labeled Remaster. This one is Remake slash Remasters. They couldn't decide what to call it, but it's just so funny to me. This one they decided to keep Remaster out of the cover art. Remaster, remake. Yeah, I know there are more videos than that, but anyway, one thing I definitely want to talk about is the labeling. Marketing is really confusing in this world, and people have for some reason, people have a lot of different ideas about what remakes are and what remasters are, and I find it very odd how disjointed it has become ever since when I was a kid. When I was a kid, remasters were the same game, remakes were different things. Remakes were inspired by original content. Now, how I like to follow through is you have remasters, and this is mainly for video games because it is widely more expansive. You have your remakes, and then you enter to the remix zone, which remakes can actually, this is one of those, I don't know, what are those bubble drawings where you can fit certain things in. I forgive me, I don't know what those are called, where you have bubbles that have labels and they mix in with the other bubbles. I ought to make one of those. But anyway, you have remaster, then that dives into remix, remaster, and then that's where it basically cuts off, because then you enter remake territory. And you also have different types of remakes. You have different types of remasters, you get different types of remakes. And remixes is kind of like, that's just mainly throwing in new content. Let's look at Tony Hawk Underground 2. That is a remix remaster. It didn't upgrade the graphics to where we are now, because it was still back when Tony Hawk Underground 2 was still rather, actually I don't know the time difference, but it wasn't that much. Then you got to Kingdom Hearts Remix. That's also a remaster, however they threw different things in there as well. And then I noticed that there was, remember DuckTales Remastered? That remastered was the dominant title underneath DuckTales. And then Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy came out, and the dominant release label was fully remastered. Same thing with Spyro, same thing with Crash Team Racing. Actually, I have Crash Team Racing right here, the website that is still currently active. Now look what it says. It's the authentic Crash Team Racing experience, plus a whole lot more, now fully remastered and revved up to the max. This is currently still on their website. I remember I actually showed this to somebody, and they said, oh, well, it's just wrong. But I'm like, why? Why is it wrong? I'm wondering who is the person on anywhere that said, oh, this is wrong and this is right. And I think what has happened is that marketing has confused people incredibly. It's just, there's somebody out there, some people out there that have influenced people to say, hey, these games are not fully remastered, they are remakes. And I find it really funny. And of course, this isn't a very serious thing. I mean, I find it a problem personally, and I'll get to that in a second. But marketing is really silly, and I could go into a whole rabbit hole of comparisons. but I'm going to try to keep it light as possible as I can. Now, Oblivion. Now, obviously, when it's labeled as remaster, I know exactly what I'm getting. It's going to be fully upgraded to modern day graphics, and I'm going to be able to experience the old game and plus some little tweaks. It's going to be a remix. It's going to be a remaster remix. There's going to be some different things thrown in there, so it's not going to be the exact same experience, but it's going to be adjusted just a tiny bit, but not enough to make it a reimagining. We're going to first look at, well, not first, but carry on to Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4. Now, where was it? Aha. I think this is it. Where is it? Where I just had it a moment ago. Ah. Let's see. Here we go. Everything you love is back and rebuilt from the ground up with new skaters and parks, extra tricks, and new tracks to crank up. Skate through a robust career mode, taking the challenges across to tour, blah, blah, blah. And so, okay, here's the word they use a lot. Rebuilt from the ground up. This is usually what a lot of people use. They say, oh, it was a remake. That's it. This is done and done. Now, this is a big time remix. There's a lot of new stuff in here. So where's the other? There. Aha, here it is. Authentically remade in jaw-dropping 4K resolution with streamlined goals in a 2-minute format. Yeah, so here's the problem with this. When you scroll up, excuse me. Oh, where are you? Oh, go right here. Excuse me. Alright, look at this. Look at what the description says for Tony Hawk's 1 and 2. Rebuilt from the ground up. Once again, we see it here. In incredible HD. It doesn't say 4K resolution this time. It is incredible HD. All pro skaters, levels, and tricks are back, and oh, what is this? Fully remastered. Now, what happened? What happened here? Did they go through an education course? So did they find a YouTube video and say, you know what? We were wrong all along. We're going to call the next one a remake. Yeah, I could have swore that Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 actually was labeled fully remastered at first. I could have swore I saw it somewhere. Maybe it was on the trailer, but I'm not going to pull it up. But it should be on the website if it was called a remaster on the trailer. There's actually a lot of really weird scenarios, like Medieval. The Medieval release, the upgrade, was actually originally going to be called Remaster. And then later it was changed to Remake. You can actually find one of the very first articles you can find says Medieval was going to be a remaster, and then they changed to the Remake. Why? That they also go through some kind of education course, quote unquote, and oh, I'm educated, I'm going to change it to Remake now. But no. This is very strange to me. Very, very strange. Look at Demon's Souls, for example. Now, Demon's Souls, of course, does not have remaster on here. This game is very highly marketed as a remake. It even says right here, this remake invites you to experience the unsettling story. But what's really funny is, look, oh, what? Entirely rebuilt from the ground up and masterfully enhanced. Look at that. Instead of saying HD, masterfully enhanced. Oh, you gotta love that little extra thing they throw in. And this, oh, then they have to reinsure. This remake introduces the horrors of the fog and Laden. Whatever that is. So every time I see that, I'm like, oh, they just mean fully remastered, but they just want to say remake because that sells better. That's just, oh. Okay, there's a very important reason, and I'm going to go ahead and get to it now. There's a good reason why we need to have these things properly labeled. Remake, to me, is an entirely new thing inspired by original content. When you're calling Demon Souls a remake, I'm thinking that it's going to be entirely something different. Like Dark Souls. Dark Souls is a remake of Demon Souls. Demon Souls is a remake of King's Field. And every time something new comes out about Elden Ring, I get closer and closer to the fact that Elden Ring is more of a remake of Dark Souls 2. In fact, Elden Ring might be a remake of all three Dark Souls games because there's a lot of similarities with all of them. And I'm going to move on to my next example, Pac-Man World. This is just another little one I wanted to throw in. Where is it? Aha, yeah. The remaster. The remaster that fans have requested is here with enhanced graphics and features. Oh boy. I don't know how people don't talk about this more often. Now, Resident Evil 4 Remake. Now this, I threw this in here because this isn't fully remastered. Now it does have remastered aspects, such as the first level. The first level in the village, where the bell rings, arguably that's more remastered than remake, even though it feels very different. But here, Resident Evil 4 preserves the essence of the original game while introducing modernized gameplay, a reimagined storyline, and vividly detailed graphics that make this the latest survival horror game where life and death, terror, blah blah blah. But nowhere is mentioned that it's a different game. Look, Resident Evil 4 is a remake of the 2005 original Resident Evil 4. This is going to confuse people. All this is very confusing for people. And where it gets worse for me is that when a game comes out and it calls itself a remake, I have no idea what that means. I need to see gameplay and even the words from the developers. And there's one thing you notice that there's one thing missing from this on the Resident Evil 4 remake page is the fact you don't see rebuilt from the ground up. It's not here. Just vividly detailed graphics. I mean, yeah, that's not a lie. I mean, yeah, the graphics are vividly detailed, but there's no mention of bringing the graphics to modern day. I mean, upgrading the graphics from where they were on the 2005 release. Now, it does say modernized gameplay. That's true. That's true. Reimagined storyline. I actually don't know. Forgive me because I actually do not pay attention to stories very much in gaming, and the story seemed very similar to me. But if I'm gonna trust that this reimagined, and I did notice some obvious differences with certain things and how certain scenes played out differently. But yeah, I didn't want to stick on this too long. Like I said, there's a whole rabbit hole I could go into in terms of explaining this. I have this whole hot chocolate thing, and shepherd's pie is really all about marketing. It goes into a marketing rabbit hole. But of course, if you want to still call it a remake, I mean, that's, obviously I can't stop you. I just think it's a very fun topic. And all these people just, it's almost like it's a cult to me, where they're like, well, it's called remaster, but I'm going to continue to call it a remake because it just looks like one. And I get it. I mean, but I would understand if it didn't have remastered underneath the Oblivion title. I mean, I wouldn't know what it would be. I mean, who knows if they didn't have remastered underneath the artwork here. I would probably think, oh, if it's being considered a remake, if people are considering it a remake, then how much of it is a remake? Is it a totally different game, or is it just the marketing version of remake? I hope what I'm saying makes sense here, because I'm just kind of trying to make sense of the confusion here. Because most people believe that these remastered games are remake. Now, I've convinced some people, but I've also haven't convinced people. What's weird is that the people that I have convinced, they kind of come off very genuine to me. And the people that I do not convince, they seem like they're trapped in and a ideology. It's almost like I said, it almost seems like a cult to me. And like I said, don't take what I'm saying here too seriously, because it's just a fun topic for me. But it just seems that way. Remake, 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 remake. It's not a fully remastered. It's rebuilt from the ground up. It says so. But anyway, that's all I wanted to touch on. I just thought it was really funny that this whole remake versus remaster thing is still going on, even though fully remastered was the first label to come out. And it's just so silly. It's so silly. Can you here's another thing I want to throw in. With Resident Evil 4 remake, can you grab the original 2005 strategy guide and beat the game? No, you cannot. But will you be able to beat Oblivion with the strategy guide? And that's kind of what I always like to follow. Can you beat it with the? And it's not really a good point to make. It's just more like, well, it's the same. It's just more of the point is just saying, oh, it's just the same game. You know, I can just use a strategy guide. But I think what a lot of people say, actually remake. I know I keep thinking about things to throw in because there's just, like I said, there's just so many points to bring up. So, remaster has one definition. Remake has two. The verb remake is to just simply remake something like, oh, I'm going to remake some scrambled eggs. Now you got the technical version of remake, which is reimagining. So, why does remake? How come remake can expand so much, but remaster is reduced to so little? Here's another thing that looks very cultish to me, and like I said, take that very lightly. I'm just joking. Is when people say, "Oh, it's a remaster because it's just the same game with slightly enhanced graphics." Why does it stop there? Why does it have to stop there? Why can't it go up to something in terms of modern day graphics? That's what I want to know. Anyway, I'm gonna stop it there before I start rambling on again. If I might end up talking for an hour about this because there's just so much to go through. I just really want to really express my opinion about why people are calling Oblivion a remake, even though it's labeled as a remaster. So take what I said and process it and express yourself in the comment section, and let's have a discussion about this. This is something I've been talking about since. This is something I've been looking into since 2017 because of just how weird it is. And there's so many things I can go back to, especially when Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy was coming out. People are calling it fully remastered, and then if you look to today, people are saying, no, it's a remake, no, it's a remake. And I noticed that some people, they were actually calling, there's this, I believe his name is Rurikon on YouTube. He has a playlist that's actually labeled as Demon Souls Remastered Playlist. And then, ever since then, he's just been calling it remake. I guess he just forgot to change it. That is so weird. What? That's so strange. But anyway, I'm going to end it here. I appreciate anybody for listening and wanting to calmly talk about this. I realize this subject can get a lot of people heated, but I'm not here to have a heated discussion. It's just fun. Let's just try to figure this out together. All right? Everybody have a great day. Thank you.